All right, I think I can explain what we've been witnessing ever since the 2016 election. And it's a lot like splitting wood for the winter time. When you're using a machine to split wood, the details of the log are not really a factor. However, if you're trying to do it by hand, it's everything. Splitting wood is a very labor intensive process, and the less you have to handle your wood, the more efficient you are along the way. In other words, you have to calculate your swings according to what the wood will allow you to do. And taking apart or dismantling the deep state pretty much requires the same process. You have to be able to calculate your swings and set it up just so, bearing in mind what you're swinging might not be as accurate as you might like it to be. And accepting the fact that not every strike is going to have the desired effect. And in this case, understand that there's someone out there or a group of people out there that don't want you to complete your task, that don't want the wood split, that would just assume see you freezing your ass off in the wintertime. When you're working the wood pile and doing it by hand, you can't do it all at once. There's only so much time in a day, so much energy available, and there are other things in life or in this country that have to be attended to along the way. In other words, shit happens. That's just the way it is, and you don't have time to be chopping up deep state wood all day long, each and every day. So you do it when you can, and hope that you get the pile done on time before the actual cold weather really sets in. And that's exactly why this is taking so long, because things have to be set just so. You have to split key pieces of wood before the rest of the pile is exposed. And some pieces are a hell of a lot harder to split than others. Especially when there are people out there who desperately do not want you to complete your task and throw obstacles in your way, like Russian hoaxes, impeachment hearings, and outbreaks of disease, in order to make sure or try and ensure that you don't get the job done. So I suppose you should look at it like this. Had President Trump gotten into office and said, look at this wood pile and all of this wood that hasn't been split, think of what you wouldn't know. But think of all of the little pieces that have been exposed and thrown in the pile that we all understand by now. Because the president has been chopping deep state wood this entire time. If only we, the American public, are willing to acknowledge the pile. For instance, in this video, you're only going to see me split 2 logs. But the pile behind me says there's a hell of a lot more that has been done. And just because we, the American people, or the people of the world for that fact, haven't seen it, doesn't mean that it's not there. Doesn't mean that the pile of evidence doesn't exist. You have to be able to process the wood, split it to appropriate pieces, and then, in this case, throw it in the fires of justice. Because by itself, unless it's processed, a log is just a log, and it generally serves no purpose. There have been people out there who have been supplying background information about the wood and the intricacies of working this particular wood pile. However, in my estimation, it's just information. Nothing more, nothing less. Meant to inform the general public on just how this wood pile is being worked, so that when the pieces are finally consumed, the public or the world will understand what all went into it. Because just like the last couple strikes here, not every strike is perfect. Not every hit lands exactly where you want it. And not every piece comes apart as planned. But you have to work with what you got and go with what the wood is willing to give you. And if you keep swinging away, eventually you will get there. That's how buildings are built, companies are ran, and wood is split. And nothing can ever truly be accomplished unless we're willing to keep swinging. Pick up the pieces and take another whack at it. Even if the last strike was unsuccessful. Now, on a personal note, there are some of you out there that know this and some that don't. I never wanted to be a YouTuber. It was never my intention to make YouTube videos. But in my estimation, the times demanded it. And that's why I have been talking about what I've been talking about for what amounts to years now. Because somebody's got to help try and split the wood. Someone has to be willing to talk about what's involved, or we're never going to get anywhere. And this pile will never make it to what I've called the fires of justice. Because no one will understand what actually went into it, what amount of work had to be done to accomplish the pile and have it ready for winter time, which in this case, for this analogy, would be our next election. Because it should be pretty damn obvious to those even who aren't even paying that close of attention that someone would just as soon see us freezing our asses off come this winter. Because the New World Order and the communist system is a cold-ass place to be. And based on what I've seen and know for that fact, most people aren't prepared to survive the cold. Unfortunately, they lack the tools and the grit and expect someone else to do it for them.